I really want you all to bring this into focus because it will bring into focus Abu Dhabi 2021 too. The world's media has never once exposed the reality of CRASHGATE, which took place in 2008. Never once. What took place in 2008, Singapore, it was the first ever Formula One night race. So it was a landmark event where they felt the eyes of the world were going to be on it. One of the teams cheated. They got one of their cars to crash so that it would give the other car a much better chance of winning, which it did. When you do that, you are cheating. What actually happened? Nothing. Fernando Alonso is still recorded as being the winner of that event, but his team knowingly cheated, is known to have cheated, and yet they have not disqualified the cheat from the event, and they have not amended the results of that event. Which of the world's media has ever reported that, or ever sought for there to be action taken? None of them. It is as simple as that. None of the world's media expose the simple truth of what took place. Now, what do we also know, which has actually come out? Bernie Ecclestone has said in interviews that he became aware that this had happened. And what he did was he covered it up. That constitutes fraud. When you know that somebody has cheated, it has affected the outcome of a sporting event, and you cover it up, you are complicit with the fraud. You have defrauded the other competitors because you've enabled the cheat. You've also defrauded anybody that has spent money on the event in terms of ticketing, merchandise, or anybody that has placed a bet on the sport. You have defrauded them by maintaining that cheated, fraudulent outcome because the outcome was generated through cheating. Ecclestone knew about it. He claims Charlie Whiting knew about it, but Charlie's no longer with us. Now, billionaire Bernie has forgotten that he said that. But if he said it, he incriminated himself as a criminal because he has covered up a fraud. Which of the world's media has ever said that? None of them. None of the world's media have ever said that. Instead, what are we getting from the world's media? We are now getting reports from the world's media that Felipe Massa is instructing some mercenary legal team, and I say mercenary legal team is because legal teams are often like vultures. They will seek to argue on your behalf if you're willing to pay them money. They don't care whether your argument is right or wrong. All they'll do is, if you're willing to pay them, they'll take on that argument for you and take it to court for you. They don't care whether morally, ethically, on the balance of what is right and what is wrong. They don't care about that. They care about the money. That makes them mercenaries. And that applies to many in that legal profession. But when you actually look at what law is there for, it is there to determine what is right and what is wrong. And what Bernie has presented is he feels that that event should be null and void because there is now known to be a cheat in that event. In any sport, you don't nullify the event if a competitor has cheated or a team has cheated. All you do is you disqualify the cheats. Exceptions to that were the Tour de France years where Lance Armstrong was known to be a drug cheat. When it came out, all of his indiscretions for drug cheating, they didn't award the race victory to anybody else because they felt that everybody else was under suspicion at the same time, because they felt drug cheating was so rife within cycling at the time. They didn't know who was the next clean competitor to validly award the race win to. Hence, in those years in the Tour de France, they didn't then retrospectively award those titles to anybody else due to that issue. But in every other sporting event, if somebody cheats and is found to have cheated, they get disqualified, and then the clean competitors, the ones that didn't cheat, then get promoted up the order. I've given the example when I did a long video about this, about a 4x100 meters event, whether it was the Olympics or the World Championships. I think it was the 2008 Beijing Olympics. The Jamaican team were favourites. They dropped the baton. It turned out that the Russian team ended up winning that event on track, but they contained a drug cheat within their team, so they were disqualified. The Jamaican team, they dropped the baton, so they made an error in that race. Unlucky. The team that came second in that event on track get promoted to gold. That's the way these things work. You don't null and void the entire relay final just because one of the teams cheated. You just disqualify the cheats. Which media has ever presented that? Instead, what has the media done? The media has given this story out to the masses. The speculation that the 2008 season championship could be overturned and Lewis Hamilton lose one and Felipe Massa be awarded it. Well, that is in no way feasible, because it has never happened in any other form of sport, nor should it happen in any other form of sport. But what are they doing? They are purposefully creating conflict for clicks, for social media debate, to create conflict in social media. They're creating hate. They're creating war amongst people. They are creating divide. This is what this bastard media is doing. They're not reporting the truth of the matter. They're not reporting the facts of the matter, the simple facts of the matter. Instead, they are throwing out there things to create conflict. None of the media has exposed the fact that Fernando Alonso was not in the championship battle that year, with 4 races of that season to go. Even if Fernando Alonso had won all 4 of them races, he wouldn't have even finished in the top 2 in the championship, in the Drivers' Championship. Renault were not in contention for the Constructors' title. I think the highest they could have finished was 3rd, and that was unlikely, even by winning the last 4 races. They wrote one of their cars off. It costs a lot of money. Why would you purposefully crash a car? If it costs £2 million in repairs for a car, and the Grand Prix victory prize is only about 2 million, why would you do it? Especially if you then risk getting disqualified and actually banned from the sport. Which of the media has ever exposed that? What was the motive for Renault doing it? And it wasn't just a win for Alonso. Their main sponsor, ING, on their car, an ailing company, an ailing financial company, had big logos sponsoring the Singapore Grand Prix. Let's go for it. And look at the links. Singapore, Sanskrit word for Lion City. Look at the Renault car. ING with a lion. Look at the symbolism. Brian the lion. There he is. What was the benefit? a global audience watching, the promotion of a brand to a global audience, that's worth far more than the prize money for winning the event. Who has explored the real motive for what was going on at CRASHGATE? And they won't do it because they'll say, oh, you've got no proof of that. You've got no proof of that. It makes no sense. When things don't add up, when things make no sense, you have to find a reason, because there's always a reason. There's always a reason. And if you go back to the ING share price and see what it was doing back in 2008, you'll start finding reasons. But which media, which journalists, these people getting paid 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 80,000 per year, what are they doing other than parroting a narrative, feeding the masses the story that the establishment want them to be fed? The same is happening with Abu Dhabi 2021. None of them have exposed the truth of the matter, which I'm exposing and breaking down in my videos. None of them. And the only way we get the information out there to actually show people what truly happened, the fact that Abu Dhabi was pre-planned, that F1 TV created the narrative, that Sky Sports lied about the rules to condition the viewers to believe it was going to be a racing outcome to that race, when the rules did not permit it. This all happened before the rule break. Massa broke the rules, knowing the consequence of breaking them rules, which was then described as a human error. The stewards broke the rules. Stewards who I can evidence knew the rules because they'd lived it. They'd been there at numerous events where they'd seen those rules in action. Massa was not acting alone. There are 10 people in race control at least that all have been in them positions for years. All have seen those procedures and been party to those procedures time and time and time again. It's not an error. And then the FIA has subsequently just covered it up. And what has the world's media done? Who has exposed it? None of them. None of them. Sky Sports are paid, they are contracted by Liberty Media to give out the false information to validate it. They're mercenaries. Who should be independent are people like the BBC. That British people have to pay a license fee for that media to actually survive, in effect. Their chief Formula One correspondent is Andrew Benson. Andrew Benson has never told the truth about Formula One. Is that because he is incompetent, or is that because he is corrupt? Now, we can rule out incompetence because I have actually, on numerous occasions, written to him to expose the truth, and he has never exposed it, which means he is corrupt. The media as a whole is entirely corrupt, and it's feeding you a narrative. The only way we are going to get people to see what is truly going on is to share social media. We're going to have to share this throughout social media, so you've got to do your bit, because people aren't going to stumble across this information. You have to share it, you have to share it, you have to share it, you have to keep making sure everybody that you know sees it, to wake people up to the fact that the media is the matrix. They are feeding the bullshit into people's heads, and most people are too blinded to see any different. It is all the construct of what is going on. You have to share this. You have to do your bit. Just clicking a thumbs up or a like is not enough. Do that. If it makes the algorithms work on social media, do that. but you have to share it. You have to do your bit. You have to start waking everybody up. There's always a reason, and that reason revolves around money every single time. Every single time. Follow the train of money and you will find the reason.